For weeks, we've been reporting on the developments surrounding Turkey's refusal to approve the bid of Finland and Sweden to jointly join NATO. Now, this has been very interesting to follow, mainly due to the fact that it's just so embarrassing for NATO and for the West. I mean, this was going to be their grand scheme. It was going to be, oh, well, Russia surely may be outperforming what we thought was capable in the bout of military superiority in Ukraine. And sure, they may have gotten the best of us when it came to the sanctioned war, but this actually caused Russia's actions in Ukraine actually caused NATO to expand and solidify further. We got Finland and Sweden in, and a whole host of new applicant countries, okay? So Turkey came in and said, well, not so fast. You didn't ask us. You didn't ask me, Erdogan. And apparently this is a surprise to Jens Stoltenberg, but Erdogan is a hardball negotiator. And he is a very direct man. He will get what he wants, how he wants it, if he has the power. And he has the power right now. The ball was in his court. I mean, Turkey's one of the most important nations to NATO. And he said, no, like Finland, Sweden, you're not going to join unless you meet these demands. Now, I don't really understand why this was such a surprise. This caught NATO off guard because even in recent interviews, Jens Stoltenberg has basically had to come out and apologize and be like, look, we understand Turkey has real concerns with Finland and Sweden. They have concerns about what they perceive to be terrorists and the PKK and other, Kurdish-aligned groups. And these are not new concerns. These are old concerns. Okay, well, they're old concerns. So why didn't you double check with Turkey before coming out and doing this big statement about how you're going to bring Finland and Sweden in? Because it was very embarrassing for you guys when you didn't get them in the preferred timeline because Turkey interjected. It's neither here nor there now because Turkey has come out and reached a deal with NATO over Finland and Sweden. Turkey reaches NATO deal with Finland and Sweden. Scandinavian countries will become observers at the upcoming summit. Turkey will support inviting Finland and Sweden into NATO at the bloc's upcoming summit in Spain. Finnish President Sauli Niinisto announced on Tuesday after a meeting with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson. The three countries signed a memorandum of understanding at the meeting organized with the support of NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. The concrete steps for our accession to NATO will be agreed among NATO allies over the next 2 days, but that decision is now imminent, said Niinisto. I am pleased that this stage on Finland's journey towards NATO membership has been completed. According to Turkey, Finland and Sweden pledged to condemn terrorism in all forms and in their support for organizations Ankara has designated as terrorists, including Kurdish groups, PKK and YPG, as well as the movement led by the exiled cleric Fethullah Gulen, which the Turkish government refers to as the FETO. Turkey got what it wanted, Erdogan said in a statement after the deal was announced. Speaking at a press conference after the meeting, Stoltenberg said that Finland and Sweden will become observers in NATO at the upcoming summit. He added that the memorandum includes provisions on fighting terrorism and arms exports, including adopting stricter national legislation. Finland and Sweden imposed an arms embargo against Turkey in 2019 over Ankara's intervention in Syria. Turkey also reportedly demanded that Stockholm and Helsinki shut down the offices and ban the publications belonging to the FETO, freeze the assets related to groups it has designated as terrorists, and even ban them from demonstrating in public. Let's see here. So, you said, if I'm not mistaken, Swedish parliament has a PKK member. That would be awkward, discriminating on a base of political view, very tolerant for that. Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll see what happens because initially Turkey was asking for the deportation of these PKK members. So we'll see what happens. They seem to be walking back their initial very bold claims and making more modest wishes as Finland and Sweden come to the negotiating table. Finland joining NATO is going to more than double the amount of borders that Russia shares with NATO. But Russia has other plans. Russia has said that they would stage, increase armaments along the border there, and they would stage increased defensive armaments and artillery in Kaliningrad. There's been talks about placing, the new Sarmat nuclear-capable missiles in Kaliningrad. So these are some of the things that they have discussed, and I would not be surprised if they pursued these actions, okay? Do you think Turkey double-crosses Russia, or is it part of a later plan Turkey and Russia has? Well, Turkey has no allegiance to Russia. If you look at what Turkey's doing in Syria right now, has said they want to do in Syria. Again, this is Erdogan, so he's putting out his most bold, courageous in his eyes proposal for what he wants, and he's probably willing to talk and negotiate with other world leaders like Putin and like Assad from there. But if you look at what he said he wants to do in Syria, he said that he wants to take military action with, Turkish service members to go into Syria to push back these predominantly Kurdish groups on the Syrian border back around like 90 miles, I think. So it's a 90-mile like border he wants, like a buffer zone he wants essentially between Turkey and these Kurdish groups, which, by the way, are occupying the northeast of Syria with only the help of the United States. So the U.S. has like hundreds of military personnel there. We have multiple bases, and we are we're exploiting, Syria. We're taking their oil. We're cutting Syria off from their wheat. And we have these military bases, and the Kurds are providing a lot of the gunpowder on the ground and the manpower on the ground to really continue this for as long as it has. But Turkey's willing to just go in and push them back on their own and make that happen, which would cause conflict. There's already cross-border conflict from these Kurdish groups into Turkey already, and it would be more conflict if they went in forcibly and pushed them back into another country, into Syria. Now, what I will say about this is Russia responded and they said, look, we know we haven't, you say we have these diplomatic assurances we gave you 2 years ago to make this happen. We haven't done it yet. Let's talk. There's room for talk. We can talk before you go in and push them back on your own through military force going into Syria. So Turkey is its own player in the game. They hold allegiances to no one. They are a powerful, important country in every sphere of the world. And they really do have a lot of good cards in their hand right now. The ball is in their court in a lot of ways, and they're using that political capital in however Erdogan sees best fit. And we're seeing that in Syria. We're seeing that in NATO. And that's exactly what's unfolding right now. It was always about, the at the end of the game, the political game for Turkey, what they wanted. And I'm not too surprised to see this happening now. So Finland and Sweden will likely be joining NATO very, very soon.